Welcome back. In this episode, I'll show you how we installed this breaker panel. But before we could actually do that, we had to build some of the bed frame. In case you're new here, my name is Dan, and I've loved to build and DIY things for as long as I can remember. And I also learned a lot of skills working as an engineer on ocean-going marine conservation ships for about 10 years. And in a way, this trailer is my own little mini ship. So I hope the things I can share here are useful to you in your own projects. Here I'm using a thin piece of plywood to make successive approximations of a template in order to make the plywood of the bed frame fit tightly along the curve of the shell. With each approximate curve, I cut it off with a jigsaw and test it again.
All right, that's the curve to match it.
And here on the final cut, you can see me using that jigsaw. So if all went well, this should fit nicely. With a good template, now I can transfer that curve to the plywood that's going to be used for the frame of the bed. And to give you a better idea, I'm working on making the pieces in blue here. More specifically, those short pieces going back towards the baggage door. A jigsaw makes easy work of cutting the curve. And now I can measure out the length of each one of these pieces that will go back towards the baggage door. To ensure I get a straight cut, I'm using this Craig circular saw track. And it's the first time I've ever used it. Definitely much better than going freehand, and much easier than trying to wrestle this on a table saw. And using the template to transfer the curve and cut it out with the jigsaw. And that's two pieces of the bed frame made. Let's see how they fit. Now I want to mount this breaker box so that it fits flush with the face of this plywood. And to do that, I'll measure very carefully. And then use a circular saw to cut out a square hole. Since the circular saw doesn't reach the corners, I have to finish off the cuts with a hand saw. Quick test fit, and sure enough, I didn't make it quite big enough. So trimming off a bit more with the circular saw. The breaker box will be secured between these two pieces of 2x4, so I'm just figuring out where they go, drilling some holes, and screwing them in. The breaker box has some little knockouts that we want to remove so that we can put screws through them. And it's easiest with a hammer and a little punch and some pliers. With the box fit back in, we can secure it to the 2x4s with 4 screws. And here's what it'll look like with the access panel installed. And I find out later that the door needs to go on the other way because of the way that the breakers sit in the box. Now I'm cutting the long piece that goes across the trailer and connects to those two other pieces. Once again, the track saw comes in handy. It's actually pretty exciting bringing all three of these pieces together here because this is the first structure we're building up in the trailer now. So I have to note, I did have a lot of uncertainty about how wide I should actually cut this piece of wood because I don't know exactly what I'm going to have as the walls of the trailer yet. And so in the end, after sitting around and staring at this for a long time and wondering if I had to start doing the insulation and the walls before making the bed frame, I finally just decided to cut this piece of wood and I can adjust it later if need be. Of course, I want to make sure that these are going in square with everything at right angles. And the best way actually was to use another piece of the plywood to get a nice straight line so I can drill some holes for the screws to pass through. and then to hold the back piece straight while I drive the screws. Here are the screws I used, some number 8 by 2-inch deck mates. This is only about half the footprint of the queen bed we'll put here, and it's so satisfying to see this in place. So you may be wondering why I decided to put the electrical panel here in the bed frame rather than in the wall of the trailer itself, and there are a couple reasons. First of all, I didn't want the steel of this electrical panel to be touching the aluminum of the shell, because that can also cause galvanic corrosion and make the aluminum deteriorate pretty quickly. And the other reason is I wanted this to be accessible from the outside. So if a breaker does trip, you can open up the baggage door, open up this door, and reset it. And had I put this in the wall, at least in this area of the trailer, you would have to lift up the bed to then be able to access the panel. Here is the inside of the breaker panel, and we have one hot leg here and another hot leg here, and all around here is the neutral. So it's 120 volts between either leg and neutral, and 240 volts between the two legs. These are all the breakers for the different circuits in the trailer. This is a double breaker, which means it's 240 volts rather than 120 volts, and that's because it'll connect to both this leg and this leg in the breaker panel, whereas a single breaker would only go off one of these. To put these in, it catches on this lip first, and these contacts here will grip onto these here. And this was tricky to push in, so I had to put the camera on a tripod and really press it in. Then it was simply a matter of snapping the last 6 breakers into position. In the last video, I explained how we designed this electrical system, and this table here shows you why I'm putting in these particular breakers, because each one is designed for different things on that circuit. There we go, there are breakers. And in case you're wondering why I chose this particular breaker panel and breaker sizes, you can watch the previous video where I designed it up there. And I'm just realizing the door needs to open this way, otherwise all these punch outs won't line up with the circuit breakers. So you can see we have to take out a couple of those. I needed pliers. So just use a sturdy pair of pliers to remove all these little punch outs for the breakers. And these left quite a bit of metal behind, so I'm using a file to make that smooth. Look at that. So this part of the project ended up costing about $348 and took about 3.5 hours to complete. But I was only just putting this in here, and we still have to show you all the work we did to wire the trailer and put in light switches, outlets, and lights. And that's in the next video. So I hope to see you then.